The point is, we're driving home with that video montage to the song that Josina loves more than anything, is the fact that when new GM of Cleveland, John Dorsey, says we're getting real players, he means it. They're going out and getting real players. And Pat McManaman from ESPN also saying that it continues. The Browns keep on keeping on. The team's going to sign cornerback TJ Carey from Oakland, according to a league source. Details not yet confirmed, but John Dorsey doing exactly what he said he was going to do when he took over for Sashi Brown and company in the middle of the toward the end of the 2017 campaign. We haven't done a good job of bringing in real players. We're going to make sure we do that now, and the cavalcade continues. The latest being TJ Carey, the cornerback, coming over from the Raiders. Well, in Todd McShay's most recent mock draft, he had 5 quarterbacks going in the first round, starting with Sam Darnold of USC going first overall to the Cleveland Browns. Next off the board, Wyoming's Josh Allen going 6th overall to the Jets. McShay had Allen with the Jets in his previous mock draft as well. And then he had Madison Avenue Mayfield, or Boardwalk Baker, Broadway Baker, as the 3rd quarterback off the board, going 11th to the Dolphins, who have Ryan Tannehill coming off a 2nd serious injury in 2 seasons. Next was Josh Rosen going 15th overall to the Cardinals. With the retirement of Carson Palmer, Arizona entered free agency without a quarterback signed. And the last of the 5, he had Lamar Jackson going 27th overall to the Saints. New Orleans, of course, now has Drew Brees under contract for 2 years. Technically, it's 1 year, and we'll see, but the contract on paper says 2 years. As we continue on NFL Live here, Todd McShay back with us. So here's the question for you, big fella. Outside of Sam Bradford, I'm just a little guy compared to you, Sport.
Sport.
Wow. You take Sam Bradford to Arizona. Has much changed here in the way your mock draft projects with what free agency has done? Because we always said this might change the dynamic. Has it really changed that much?
I don't know that it's changed a ton. First of all, Kuiper, along the way, created some crazy rule that you can't trade picks. So we're stuck there. And
That's his rule, not yours.
Right, exactly. So I was basically saying that Arizona is a team that could move up. And since then, I think the one big difference is that we've got the Bills are sitting there 12-22 after the trade for Cordy Glenn. So now they're getting closer and closer. 6 picks in the top 65 overall. So they have the ammunition if they want to go up into the top 6 and get ahead of the Jets and potentially take the quarterback that they want, depending on who the Browns take at number 1.
Is that the only thing? Because does Bradford at all change your opinion with Josh Rosen? Because we're talking about $20 million?
No, I don't think you can trust Sam Bradford to be a full-time starter.
15 guaranteed, 20 overall.
Right.
Yep. I mean, clearly the Jets, they're sitting at 6. I mean, they have Josh McCown and they have Teddy Bridgewater, but those two combined are $15 million. So that shouldn't change their perspective on a quarterback, right?
Right. And we've seen 5 trades in the last 2 years, teams going up in the first round to go get quarterbacks, starting with Wentz and Goff 2 years ago. And I think we're going to see some movement again this year.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I think you hit it before when you said it depends on who Cleveland takes. They're taking a quarterback.
Yeah.
But
with what pick? With what pick?
The first pick.
Number 1 overall.
The first pick. That's their charge.
Yes.
We can't make any more excuses about why we don't want a guy.
Correct.
Saquon Barkley maybe
I don't like
the perfect
yeah, you don't like quarterback.
prospect.
Yeah, with the quarterback, you don't like him.
But
I'm going
it's
Saquon.
like this. Buffalo, if Josh Allen slips, all of a sudden he's in the top 5. I think that's Buffalo's target to go up into the top 5. Arizona's target, I think, would be Josh Allen. But for somebody else, if Sam Darnold slips, they may try to jump up there. Some of these signings, from Case Keenum to obviously the Jets haven't signed anything. Arizona.
Oh, it's Josh McCown and Teddy Bridgewater Jets.
Yeah, exactly.
They're still
going to sign quarterbacks outside of Minnesota.
And Buffalo.
Everybody in Buffalo. I'm saying everybody that signed quarterbacks outside of Minnesota,
yes,
is still in play.
Correct.
Yes.
I think it's a lot like the Bears a year ago, signing Mike Glennon and saying, you know what, we're still going to move up. We're not just going to sit there. We're going to move up a spot and go get Trubisky.
Buffalo is the one that really is going to make the waves.
And the pick that's in play is 3, the Colts, because they do not need a quarterback.
Yep.
Well, they sure hope not.
And everything
enough.
I hear is good.
Right.
So they're banking on the fact that Andrew is back.
And at 1, the Browns could take a quarterback. At 2, the Giants sitting there could have the best player in the draft in Saquon
Barkley. And now here comes 3.
And here come
they
the Bills.
They can go down a little bit and still get a defensive player that
how
they
much,
badly
but hold
need.
on. How much pressure do you want to put, if you're Cleveland, on your quarterback? Can they handle it being the number 1 overall pick? You got to play now.
That's why they signed Tyrod Taylor. No, he's not going to.
I'd rather put it on Saquon Barkley. Get him at number 1, put him at the number 1 pick, and then maybe you get who you want.
I would
for.
too, Teddy. I would too. I would do exactly that. I would take Saquon Barkley at number 1, and you're assured of no worse than the third best quarterback at 4, where you sit. You just sit there and do that. And you've helped you.
And then from a mentality standpoint, your quarterback's there at 4 thinking, okay, there's the number 1 overall pick. He's handling all this pressure.
Especially, we don't even know how they have their quarterbacks stacked.
Right.
So the guy
that's because they're not finished yet.
What I'm saying, though, is this. They can still take there's no way. Well, I can't say definitively, but I would assume that there isn't a team in the NFL right now that is going to have any of these quarterbacks ranked organically ahead of Saquon Barkley.
Right.
On just
number 1 on Mel's
stat
big
board.
Yeah, that's
okay,
fair.
just on a board.
Mine too, buddy.
So if right now we don't know which quarterback they have ranked first, right? Maybe at 4 they're thinking we'll get our guy anyway.
Absolutely.
It's a win-win all day long.
Now,
It's guaranteed usually of 1 of 2.
Right, and who knows? Maybe it's the one.
And it might be the one you love.
Exactly. So,
Because when you
love
take
3,
the guy that you targeted in Cleveland, most of the time just the wrong one. So maybe at 4,
Well,
for you a little bit.
That's all I'm saying. I don't necessarily agree with the fact that you have to take 1 at 1 unless you think I don't know if I can get the one I want at 4.
You better really
But you know what, Lewis,
let me make the sales
like.
pitch for Saquon Barkley here. This is a franchise that has not had, other than Joe Thomas, a player that fan base can point to and say, he's our guy. They haven't had someone who even
and Joe Thomas, by the way, announcing his retirement today.
2012 draft was
is
so
in the
bad.
same universe as LeBron James, right?
His name was Jim Brown.
They don't even. Saquon Barkley is that guy.
It's Jim Brown. Yeah.
He's that guy.
He's that good.
He's that good, and he's the kind of guy that can energize the fan base, and they say, okay, here's a guy we can hang our hat on. And by the way, Tyrod Taylor, if he has to play, is not chopped liver, especially if he can hand the ball off to Saquon Barkley.
And throw it to Jarvis Landry.
When you said
no coup.
Yes.
When you said, look, they have been charged with, this front office has been charged with finding a franchise quarterback. I mean, I agree. I mean, there's no question they better find one. It's just that I've just been of the belief that it doesn't have to be at 1.
Yes.
Right. That's all I'm saying.
I understand
it
that,
has to be at 1.
Let's look at
Which it seems like every time I mention this thing about, well, running back could go number 1 overall, people are going, no, you can't do that. You can't take a running back.
No
No,
one
I'm not saying you.
No one's saying that you can't.
I'm saying people.
But the
Does
problem
the name
is
Jim Brown ring a bell?
your organization is missing Brady Quinn, Brandon Whedon, Johnny Manziel by all 3 times having a first-round pick, going a different direction, and then going down. Now, there have been different circumstances. It's John Dorsey now. That's in the past. I understand that. But it's tough.
Yeah, the past is haunting them, for sure.
You've got to be darn sure that 3 guys in this quarterback group are worth it and can be that guy. Or else, if you only love 2, then you probably need to pull the trigger, I think, at quarterback with 1.
This
But if you
personnel
do like
department
3.
will wait until the end to do the quarterback.
As it should.
That's what they'll do. And if they only have 2 guys that they like, then they have a problem by waiting until 4.
Right.
Yes.
Then they have a problem by waiting
I'd
until
feel
4.
good about that. I'd feel good about that because the odds are that another position player will be taken before
Nick
the
Chubb.
second quarterback.
Guys,
Can I just
How
say
could
this?
the Colts pass on Nick
It's just
Chubb?
the optics of it, though, after
great
passing
deal to move
on
back.
Carson Wentz.
Oh.
Carson Wentz, Ben Roethlisberger,
After
of them.
passing on those guys. So if they do what Lewis says, they end up getting the running back at number 1, and then let's say you get presumably another option, your first or second choice at the 4 spot. But after the year has passed, and perhaps if another quarterback that went before that plays better, again, it's the optics of it after the fact, just because of what happened before with the quarterbacks that they missed on.
But they better be sure about
Can't
that.
let that into the equation.
You can the list. I mean,
now.
the Browns
People
have
will
been
talk
the
about it
27
afterwards.
Yankees of terrible drafting. I mean, they just have. You know, the Danny Shelton signature moving on, even though he may work out in New England,
No matter
is
where
another
they
one
pick.
of those number 1 picks that they cannot find a way to latch onto and develop.
There's a potential with these 4 quarterbacks to miss.
Yeah.
There's no potential to miss with Saquon.
There's none?
You
look at the
best
history
player
of
in
Can
the
I just say something? We heard
Still
that
needs
about
the
Trent
O-line to
Richardson.
Number 1 overall.
Certainly a
Yeah,
lot
I heard that about
less.
Trent Richardson.
We heard that about Trent
I
Richardson.
agree with
Still
you,
needs
but
the O-line
you
to
can't say
perform.
there's no.
He ain't Trent Richardson.
Okay.
Well, you
The
can if
chances
you want.
are less.
Oh, very less. That's how I would phrase it.
And we're not saying Saquon Barkley is Trent Richardson. We're not. We're just saying you can't say.
I heard he was going to win the Heisman. He wasn't invited to the Heisman.
Yeah.
In this draft, the player with the least risk is Saquon Barkley. The next player with the least risk is the Notre Dame.
Quentin Nelson,
the guard. Notre Dame guard.
Yeah.
But if you go quarterback,
you can only judge a draft on what you have to draft. You don't have to worry. You can't worry about what happened 5 years ago or 10 years ago. You can only judge what's right in front of you. And Saquon Barkley is the cleanest player right now in the whole draft.
I'll say this, though, Bill. We've said that many times about other players in the past. Robert Gallery was the safest pick.
You can't worry about it. You can't worry about it.
You have to go by what the method.
You know what? I will also say this. Can I just add this too? When we're talking about players that are this high up in the draft, and we talk about, this guy's can't miss, this guy will be great. The Cleveland Browns coaching staff is just as responsible for how this pick turns out as anyone.
Yes.
As responsible as anybody. Because all of these players, look, there have been people who I've talked to who say this. Look, right now, when you talk about they don't have many good players, I've talked to people who are under the belief that there are some decent players up there that right now just don't really believe in themselves, in their ability to win. Maybe they haven't been infused with enough confidence to win. There's a whole lot of responsibility going around up there that people need to pick it up. Yeah. A whole lot going on around there.
And Bill talked about a player who the Cleveland Browns could sort of, the fan base could get excited about if you haven't been with us the whole time, Joe Thomas, who has certainly been that guy for a lot of years.